Hi friends, Alex from Average Woodworking here. Today we're going to build these super simple plywood shelves. So a couple of months ago I built these shelves, which are quite a bit bigger than the ones we're going to build today, primarily because we're storing all of our Christmas decorations in this storage bedroom that we're in right now. But I wanted another smaller version of these shelves to put smaller stuff on. So I put the plans together for this basically half-size version. And the best thing about these shelves is A, you can use them anywhere in the house. You can use them out in the shop, use them outside, use them inside the house, they look just fine. And B, they're perfectly scalable. So if your space isn't big enough for something like this, or you need something that's this size, you can scale this in any direction that you need. As long as the basic dimensions are the same, you can put it up to any size that you need. To start this project, I'm going to focus on the vertical and the horizontal rails, which I designed specifically to be the same length so that I can cut them all at the same time. Here I'm just using a speed square to get my measurement across the entire board before moving over to the miter saw. Once it's in place and the saw blade is positioned over my mark, I'm going to check the measurement again and then get to work on my stop block. I'm just using a simple scrap of plywood here, which I'm going to attach directly into my work surface. Again, when you're using a stop block, it's very important to get your measurements right the first time, because I'm essentially taking this measurement and applying it to 8 different cuts. So if it's not right from the beginning, they're all going to be the wrong length. With that in place, we'll get our hearing protection on and get to cutting. Like I said before, we need 8 cuts total of this length, which will be for our horizontal and our vertical rails. As you can see, the stop block we installed makes this process very quick. Moving on to our horizontal cross support pieces, which are much shorter, we're going to move the stop block to set up for a different length, in this case only 18 inches. So I'm getting my measurement. I'm going to use the speed square again just to make it easier to line up with the miter saw. Not a necessary step, but one that I always like to take. Makes lining it up a little bit easier for me. We'll need 4 lengths cut at this length of 18 inches to be our cross supports between the 2 vertical rails, and then later we'll have to go back and cut 4 more at 15 inches so that we can use those to go in between the shelving rails. All these shorter pieces are going to get pocket hole screws drilled in so that they can be attached from the interior of the rails. I like this a little bit better than using butt joinery from the outside, just because it leaves fasteners not visible from the outside, and it makes for a bit of a stronger connection. So each of these smaller individual pieces are going to get 2 pocket holes per side, and they'll be used later to attach to the rails. Now I don't have any dust collection in my shop, so I use a vacuum here and there just to keep things tidy. For the actual width of the shelves, I don't have a table saw, so I use this great Craig jig that lets me line up a straight cut from the edge using almost like a square edge attached to the saw. It makes this cut super simple and makes it straight every single time. Now for cuts that are wider than 2 feet, like this Craig jig allows, I have to get a little bit creative, and you can see me struggling here trying to use a T-square and some clamps to get this cut right. It's a great idea, and it ended up working in the end, but the execution was a little poor. It just wouldn't stay in place, and the clamps kept slipping around as I was trying to make the cut. These components don't have to be sanded, but since it will be used occasionally in our storage room, I wanted to go ahead and sand off at least the cut edges so there wouldn't be any splinters anywhere. To assemble the actual frames, I'm a big fan of using spacers like I am here. This is just an offcut of a 2x4 that I used before, but I'm using this as a guide to tell me how far down to put this top rail. Eventually I'm going to have a cross rail that's coming across attaching at this connection point. So by using this offcut spacer, it allows me to see immediately how high I need to space that away from the top rail. Now glue might be a little bit of an overkill here since I'm using pocket holes and since this is interior, but if it gives me a stronger connection, I'll give it a try. I'm using this paintbrush here just to smooth the glue out so there's not any buildup, and I get a nice flush connection between the 2 pieces of wood. Again, using the same spacer as before to make sure the top rails are at an equal distance down.
And here's what the final rails look like. They've got the support rails along the side. The shelves will sit along those cross pieces. So let's get started on the shelves themselves. The cross pieces here really can be any distance away from the edge as long as they're squared up and they're clamped down so when you add in the pocket screws they don't twist. Generally you're looking for about 2/3 and 1/3 from one end to the other just so that there's even spacing. And once it's clamped down, it's nice to have a hammer sometimes to knock it into place. Now, I've realized in retrospect that pocket holes were probably a bad idea for this scenario. You can see here I'm having some trouble with the drill. I've got kind of close quarters here, so trying to fit the drill and the extended pocket hole bit into this small space was a bit of a problem. Also, I really screwed up here, and you can see it even as I'm building it, that I didn't check for spacing from the left to right on the long rails. So they're not lined up hardly at all. You can really see it from this angle, and you can see it bouncing as it's uneven on the board. You can see, yeah, the back one is made correctly, and the front one was not. It turned out okay, but let's get inside. Dogs like to help with these kind of projects. Now, this was another instance where having another person would have really helped as they kept on following on me. This went on for about 20 minutes.
No help.
Dogs did not help. Clamps would have made this job a little bit easier. If you have to pound them into place like that, that means the square connections can be super snug. And once I got them in here, they really did need to be held into place. They were snug enough to stay on their own. So I put 2 screws in each corner, just real quick and nice, and made them all squared up. And it made for a really solid connection because of not only the screws into the side pieces, but also the support rails that were coming from underneath. Then with that done, it was just getting the second shelf on there. And mind you, this was the one that I did all wonky, so it took a little while to get in there also. Probably could have started with that lower shelf, but I chose to do the top one instead because it was correctly made. The bottom one was not. But once I got it in there, again, it was pretty snug. It was a little bit warped because of the mess up I had. So you can see here, I had to actively hold down one side while I screwed it in so that it stayed in place. But otherwise, it was just a simple procedure of, again, putting screws in the walls. Before I put on the shelving plywood, I just made sure it was nice and sturdy. This part was actually really easy. It was just putting down the finishing nails in all the corners, and I went back and made sure they were in all the support cross beams as well. What helped really a lot here, when I put the pocket holes in, I put a mark on the outside rails of where the connecting pieces were. Since I wasn't using any screws coming in from the outside, it was impossible to see where the screws were going in. So those marks on the outside rails made it really easy to see where the cross pieces were and helped me put the nails in correctly. As you can see, the cross braces on the vertical shelves made this extra secure, and all of my undisclosed amount of weight fits up here without even so much as bowing the top.
Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time building these shelves, and I know you will too. If you like my content and want some more, make sure you hit the subscribe button down at the bottom and like and comment. If you have any suggestions for the rest of us or suggestions on how you would have done this differently, I'm more than interested to hear about them. If you're interested in some free plans for this project, head on over to my website, averagewoodworking.com. You can find the link down in the description. While you're there, check out some of my other content, like other projects that I've done and blog posts that I write all the time about new woodworkers. Anyway, I'm Alex from Average Woodworking. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Hi, Bailey. Hi. Hi, you like the shelves? Oh, Molly. Hi. Do you like the shelves? Ooh. Whoa. Whoa. Alex from Average Woodworking. No. Wrong. Alex from Average Woodworking. Today I'm going to build these shelves. Let's get to it. Woodworking here. I don't like here. Alex from Average. And my fiance Morgan said, Alex, I want another one. That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing you've ever said. These other shelves, no. Because we were storing a lot of our Christmas, no. Ah! Molly's butt. Get out of the shot. Go. Ah. Well, you can stay here. If you like my... You'll find that description down in your... No. Bailey. Go to my website, Average Woodwork. No. So I've written about new woodworking, and it just... No. Other products... Molly! Okay, bye.